Hey there, and welcome back to another one of my 0.3 prep videos. I hope you've been enjoying these. Obviously, we are less than 24 hours away from the actual release of 0.3, so we'll know soon enough. What this video is what I believe to be some of the biggest baits for this upcoming league. Either, GGG's baiting us, or content creators are baiting us. And again, I'm not here to call anybody out, but I do have a bone to pick. And honestly, in the end, I hope that I'm wrong and people do use the things that I'll be talking about and have fun with it. Because it's when we're talking about bait, it usually means something that like, it looks fun, you go to it, and then it turns out it's awful. So I mean, if people are going to do it, I hope it is fun, and I hope they get everything out of it that they wanted. Because I feel like certain things are being oversold a little bit. Alright, so, number one on the list, the Witchhunter buffs. Oh man. This is actually a two-part bait, but I'm still going to group this into one. First is that this circulated around about a new notable for Witchhunter that gives them 0.2% to base critical chance per 1% of missing enemy life. I mean, look, if this actually comes out, then Witchhunter's gonna be insane. But let's be real, this could be a hoax or something else, but there's nothing in the patch notes about this, so again, don't hold your breath on it, because otherwise this would be insane, actually insane. So I think some people were starting to overvalue Witchhunter more because of the expectation that this notable might come out, this ascendancy node might come out, but that's really not all. I saw a lot of people just hyping up the fact that you can spec in for 123 weapon swap points total, or 124, but I only have 123 points. So yeah, one of the things I did was, because I saw two different key suggestions when talking about this. One was that you make a real build and then you allocate for curse and shock magnitude, which is what I did here. So I assume like, you're gonna go like some two-handed mace slam bit, whatever, it doesn't really matter, and then the rest is gonna go into shock magnitude and curse, which you can see that I'm well within the number of total points that you would have on Witchhunter, and I can easily allocate like just about every shock magnitude, curse magnitude. I still have enough points to go through here if well, not really, but anyway, I pick up pretty much everything, or at least a good part of it. But now you're gonna see, when I zoomed in here, maybe you noticed it. Why does this look so weird? Why am I taking raw mana? Why don't I just path up through here, or whatever other question? And that is the inherent issue of why I'm calling this bait. So if we go down here, one of the key things that you need to know about weapon swap points is that you cannot allocate a keystone or a jewel socket with it. If GGG, as part of the Witchhunter ascendancy, would have actually allowed you to do that, then yes, I think Witchhunter would be insane. Would be absolutely insane, because like you could use Giant's Blood or Blood's Magic for some stuff, like high mana cost stuff, and then maybe switch back to, like, if you just have some 1500 mana cost item that you need to do, and then you switch back to normal mana costs using a swap. Like, there's definitely things that could be really interesting if they allowed you to do that. But as it stands, they did not say that you can use weapon swap points to go through jewel sockets or keystone. It's like, if it had been part of the ascendancy where, okay, well, or maybe even make it a 4-pointer, so 2, 4, and then you actually are allowed to do that, that would be really cool. And genuinely would start using it more. So concentration is a strong... This middle node is quite strong. It's quite nice. I feel like culling and decimating tend to be a big bait. Like, I don't put much value in this node, but it seems like some people really do. And so they probably see, oh, 100 points, I can make like 2 full builds, have like 1 pure mapping, 1 pure bossing, or they do one overall build, and then they have the swap for shock and curse magnitude, is generally what I've been seeing a lot of. But then it really just comes down to the fact that you cannot really fully utilize your points because you can't weapon swap points through jewel sockets. So this is an example of a curse shock mag, and then using it, let's say, two-handed mace, and then let's look at how ridiculous this looks. So we spec up here, we grab our overwhelm. Again, this was not actually, intended to be used. I was just throwing points in just to make an example. So let's say we're wanting Crushing Verdict and Overwhelming Strike. Stuff like Lasting Trauma is used in stuff like bleed builds. I mean, you might actually want to spec here. But then I can't pass through this jewel socket. So I have to pass up through the bottom here, up through here, up through beef. Because again, even though we've come to the middle lane, the middle lane leads into the jewel socket. So we have to still pass through another cluster into singular purpose. So look how messy this is. So your point efficiency goes down significantly if this is the type of style of build that you're going to want to do with Witchhunter. Like, instead of 1 point to connect, or 1 point to connect these two travel nodes, we have to spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we lost 8 points in this traveling. Now, there might have been more efficient ways to do this, but whatever. Or like here, look, save 1 point versus using this. Doesn't really, again, the point was I was just throwing points in to make an example. And yeah, like this would be pretty bad. Like and the other thing is, people seem to underestimate how strong jewels are. There's a reason that last league I was able to make so much. And even in 0.1, part of the reason Secumus is worth so much, it's not because you're gambling on the chance for a last flame. It's because jewels sell for a lot. Jewels are very valuable. And that was the main thing in early 0.2 when I was talking about how they nerfed Secumus, is because they started giving more jewels to mappers. And jewels are a big driver of how much you spend. There are definitely, like, especially for time loss, there's time loss out there you're going to spend 50 to 100 divs on. There are normal jewels that you're going to, even uncorrupted, you're going to spend 15, 20 divs for good rolls. And then with, like, good corrupts, you're going to spend 40 plus divs. If you get a perfect 5th line on it, GG, it's like a 100 div plus jewel. Jewels are valuable. And giving up jewel sockets, because, again, you can't pass through them. So, like, in a normal build, you would get this jewel socket. And then it's like, you can't spend points to go spec up to this jewel socket because, well, that's it. You don't have points. You only have weapon set 1. So this is off limits to you. This in the middle means that your pathing sucks and it's off limits to you. Like, already right off the bat, you've lost 2 jewel sockets. And just to help connect on set 2, like, you still, I spec'd over here. Again, like, jewel sockets are valuable. So jewel sockets are worth a lot, because you can literally get 4 lines of increased damage, which is worth more than a lot of notables. And especially in the way the tree is designed currently, there's still like a limit to the number of notables that you're going to get that are relevant to your build. So again, I don't think this whole idea of like, oh, well, just make like 1 build that you want to do like down here and then just spec up here for, I don't buy it personally. Now, what I did do is I did want to still say, like, give it the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, if I really just wanted to use Witchhunter and take more advantage of the extra points, this is what I would have done for Whirling. Is, again, like, set set 1 would be my mapping, so there's a lot more attack speed, there's a lot more evasion, and that there's more points in like evasion and attack speed that I would not be able to spec into normally with the limited number of points. So you can see I used 43 points on each. And then it's like, wait a second. Witchhunter already has access to this technically. So even in current patch, if you wanted to play Witchhunter Whirling, like you could do exactly this. So yeah, I feel like there might be some value to Witchhunter. Again, I'm not going to have thought of every single build and every single possibility of the Witchhunter. I do hope that there's something really cool that comes out that seriously takes advantage of like 50 plus weapon swap points. And that would be really cool because it's just something that you genuinely just cannot do with other classes. So yeah, Witchhunter was my first character. But I gotta maybe put the brakes a little bit here, that I don't think that this is gonna be some S tier character as some places are pushing. Next, banner buff. So people have been calling this a banner buff, and I genuinely don't understand it. Because if we look, War Banner now grants 25% more attack damage, previously 5 to 6%. More accuracy, blah blah blah. Banner is no longer removed when you leave the aura, which is good. Increased duration. But it used to be that you had, I believe it was 12%. I'm logged in right now, so I can even go check. I believe it was 12% increased magnitude per Valor. So 10% base, 2% from qual. So 12% total increased aura magnitude. So let's take a look. Let me log into a tactician support here. And then you would normally have this. So you would normally take these nodes, Symbol of Defiance, with the small node. This would give you 25. You could also put a Time Lost Ruby with increased effect to get that higher, but let's say 25. So you had 50 plus 25 for 75. Then a Perfect Fall Information gave you minus 16. So 75 minus 16 gives you 59. Again, without any rubies improving this. So you have 59 Valor. And you can always place this down. Now, so that would give you, let's just say the attack damage, 5 to 6 or 6% attack damage, and then with 12% increase per Valor. So you do this times 12 plus 100, divide by 100, multiplied by your 6%, and you get 48.48% boost. What does it say here? 25% more attack damage. So we're all based on the same thing from before. We now have about halved our attack damage effect. And then you're going to say, well, glitched. We do have it now will scale with aura magnitude. Thanks to your boy, aura magnitude is removed from the jewel socket. So it was a thing in 0.1, and the stunling, the world record 0.1 Sekimus holder, which was the stunling, or at least I used the stunling and pushed for like several months on socials and stuff. Absolutely abused aura magnitude. And then it was literally removed from the game. You cannot roll aura magnitude jewels anymore. So we have very limited access to aura effect now. So if I remember correctly, you have up to 60%. So you could do 25 times 1.6 or 40. So even on like Gr8 max, big max, you have 40% attack damage, which is worse than your standard Fall Information build in 0.2, which would give you 48%. So banners are nerfed. And I'm not going to go through every calculation for all the banners. It applies everywhere. The movement speed one got hurt a lot as well. So you are overall, even with specking all the way up here for aura magnitude, and I think this is aura magnitude, oh, this is presence. Oh, no, this is aura as well. Specking all the way up there for like all this aura stuff is still not even getting you close. I thought it was 60. This is only like 24. 15 plus 12, 27. 11. 38. I may have been wrong. It might even be worse. Oh, here. That's where the rest comes from. So, yeah. So right off the bat, you're you're getting less value off your banners. Maybe we're gonna get supports to significantly boost this, but I honestly doubt it because banner bots were very prevalent in 0.2. They were incredibly prevalent, even self-banner botting, which I showed for movement speed capping in 0.2. You could very easily spec to self-banner bot. So that's step one. Step two is that Fallen Formation is now removed from the game. So we don't actually get to use Fallen Formation to just spam banners down. We have to actually build up glory. And you build up glory passively with an Ascendancy node here. Or you just have to hit enemies. Which is, to me, not really that much different from Valor in 0.1 and 0.2. Like, you could just go around killing enemies in maps and have your banner. So the big difference is that now is that before you had to give up your chest slot for Fallen Formation, but you could spam it down as much as you wanted. And then now we have to go to Gemling. And here's the kicker. Sorry, not Gemling, Tactician. Now here's the kicker. So again, we're spending points. We're spending Ascendancy points to do this. And we only get 5 glory per second when it takes 200 glory to activate. So 5 glory per second. So 200 divided by 5 takes you 40 seconds to put one banner down. They did increase the duration. I know they did. But that's still 40 seconds to put a around 10-second banner down. Maybe you'll put skill effect duration on, get it to 13 seconds, whatever. I don't know if you've ever mapped, but you tend to not be in the same spot for 13 seconds in a map, with the exception of maybe Expedition and Breach. So, and even with Breach, you tend to be going around and looping around, so I'm still going to count it, but in general, as you're clearing maps, you're really not going to spend 13 seconds in one spot to use, to take full advantage of this skill effect duration. And then you're going to say, oh, but there's also Bannerman. Okay, well, 13 plus 4, because if you leave the area, now you have 17 seconds. You're still at half of, not even half of the amount of time it takes. So your cycle would be 40 seconds down, 17 seconds up, for around 28%, ballparking 28% uptime. Actually, I think 30, whatever. So uptime is really shit. Obviously, you know, we're gonna make some assumptions that all this stuff with like increased valor gain will equate to increased glory gained. So there's 120% in the tree. That means that your 5 glory per second now becomes 11 glory per second. So you do your 200. And also, you know what? I'll even do one more. I'm going to assume that this plus valor will be minus glory required. So I'll even give you like minus 40 glory required. So, and one other note to point out too, while we're talking about this, that's going to be important for the calculation, rallying icon. When you leave your banner's area, recover 15% of the valor consumed for that banner. We're going to assume that that's also going to work for glory. So you have minus 40 glory required. So you have a 160 glory banner. Then you're going to recover 15% of that. So you're going to recover 24. So let's do 160 minus 24. And you're going to need 136 glory to put one banner down. So like we're assuming you're putting it down on rotation. Now you divide that by 11. It still will take you 12 seconds to build up your banner. Now, at least that means that you put your banner down, and by the time the banner expires, you can put another one down. Assuming you're staying in the same area. With most of the time when you're mapping like this, you're just going to be dropping the banner down, killing the 1 or 2 packs there, and you're moving out. That's the simple reality of it. You're moving out. And then the placing multiple banners, like, I don't know if they're going to share glory or not. If they don't share glory and you can put down one of each banner, like a war banner plus a defiance banner every time, I mean, I guess tactician is still good. I still imagine tactician will exist for banner botting in some form, but this is not exactly what I consider OP banner botting compared to 0.2. I don't believe that banners got buffed here. But yeah. Gemling nerf. I've seen a lot of people saying Gemling got nerfed, which I find kind of funny. And I agree to some, degree that it's not as nice, or at least the way it changed. So this node used to, well, it used to be, you can see what it is here, 30% less cost of skills, 30% more attribute requirements. Now this node is like 1 random charge. Honestly, it's garbage. Unless you have some need to get a random charge every once in a while, it feels pretty bad. What is really key is that gem studded. On the plus side, if you had a build in 0.1 or 0.2 that you needed like multiple damage skills in your rotation, gem studded was amazing. And in my example is for the Whirling Slash, I had Bullseye and Martial Tempo in Whirling Slash, and I had Bullseye and Martial Tempo in Rapid Assault. So, and I was using gem studded so I could duplicate this. And Gemling was the only place that you could really do this, and with the limited number of supports that we had, there was a lot of value to do that. Now, I believe there was an Arbiter drop that let you do this as well. I can't remember if it was boots or helmet, or I think it was the helmet. So, I mean, it wasn't even super unique to Gemling anyway, but, for just something that you can path through too, this was still pretty nice. A nice quality of life. Now everyone is just gonna get this. We don't have restrictions on the support gems, so it's like, okay, well, Gemling got nerfed because this is no longer like unique to Gemling. Everyone just gets it now. The thing to consider is that what they're replacing it with is actually making me more excited than what it was before. The gem-studded notable passive skill no longer grants you blah blah blah. Instead, it now provides you for each color of socket that is most numerous. Red. Hits against you have no critical damage bonus. Blue. Skills have 30% less cost. Green. 40% less movement speed penalty from using skills while moving. So, not only do we now combine advanced thaumaturgy into where gem-studded is, you can access this with 2 points. You also get no critical damage bonus against you. Yes, a GGG employee did confirm that you can stack multiple of these as long as both of them have the same number and it's the highest number, or all 3 are all equal. You will get all 3 effects, which is insane. It is actually insane. So let's look. So Cat Talisman boots hits against you a 15% reduced critical damage bonus. So even if you had a pair of boots, 2 socket, 100% increase effective socketed items, now you put now that's 60% reduced critical damage bonus against you. And then you would do like armor with Soul Core of Takaba to fill out the rest. So you would need to fill out your 2 boot sockets plus 4 different sockets across your armor. Like let's say 2 helmet, 2 glove sockets, just to get 100% reduced critical damage bonus against you. Now it is literally just straight up built in here, and even better, that's reduced critical damage bonus. This is no critical damage bonus. So this is actually, to me, even better than just slotting in like all those sockets. There's also nodes on the tree as well that do this, and one of them being right near where Gemling is. There's also desensitization right here, and I think this one is less critical chance against you, but anyway, there are a few nodes in the tree that do this. But yeah, overall, like, and for something that is just 1/3 of what the node can give you is wild. That is, I'm actually very excited for Gem Studded, and I think this is going to be amazing because you're also generally pathing to integrated efficiency. So this is a very strong node. Did they nerf it yet? No. Okay. So integrated efficiency is an incredibly strong node. So more skill speed per socketed green support, more damage per socketed red, and more crit chance per socketed blue. Like, this is just so much value here. The only thing to note is that these are all increased values and not more values. So more is a multiplier, increase is additive with the rest of your tree and whatnot. So that's the only kind of downside, but you still have amazing value out of these 4 points now. Like, this is insane. The other thing is you have plus qual and plus skills. So let's say you were going to spend 4 points on integrated efficiency and then 4 points to implanted gems, which is what I did, or for some stuff. Now you get 14% more quality of all skills, which for stuff like blink means more cooldown recovery. For stuff like drawing a blank, like flicker is in 0.2. I know it's getting nerfed in 0.2. What meant less chance of consuming charges, or, well, yeah, reduced charge consumption effectively. And then the other thing is, on the way to motoric impact, oh my god, I can't speak. +2 to all skills with a dex, strength, or int requirement. So if let's go open PoE 2DB, and let's pick let's pick Lightning Arrow. I've never actually looked at the damage chart of Lightning Arrow, but since it will be popular in the upcoming league, I think it's worth looking at. Okay, well, this is not nearly as clean as I was hoping. Maybe... my apologies. Spark, maybe? Here, this is what I want to show. Damage with skill levels is pretty much exponential for a lot of gems, meaning that the higher up you can get, the more gain that you're going to have versus the previous level. That means that for some stuff, +2 could be the difference between hitting like 28 and 30. So let's say I'm using a crossbow or two-handed hammer with +7 to all skill gems. So, and I have the 20 + 1 corrupt. That brings me to 28. And then I have +2 from the ascendancy. And then you see like, oh, well, we're going to go from 413 to 547 on the max hit. That's pretty wild. %32 increase for that +2, by the way. So this can be, depending on what you're doing, obviously this is where POB comes in and PoE 2DB to check like what is the value of +2 where you are in your build. But +2 can be quite impactful. And this is not even including the effect of quality, which for some skills is just straight up more damage. So I still have really high hopes of Gemling. One really good point though was that there is nothing that Gemling can do that nobody else can do, which is very true. The thing about Gemling is that it was always like the easiest thing that you can put any build into. So if you were only going to ever make one character in the league, you were very safe with Gemling because you have a lot of tools to do many things. So and like just generally the passive buffs that you can get, this also being able to give you max res, is because they're also cracking down on max res in the upcoming patch. The like Prism Guard got nerfed, so it's no longer going to give you max res there. The 3 items, I think it was the Thunder. There was a helmet with. Anyway, there's a helmet, there's a pair of boots, and there's a belt. I know the belt is called Inferno Clasp. So all the uniques that had max res on them got removed, and I thought that was a really weird thing. But stuff like Inferno Clasp is removed from the game. So, Inferno Clasp, I think there was a helmet with maximum lightning resistance. I don't remember if it was the helmet or it was the pair of boots. Here it is, Thunder Step. It was the boots. And the helmet is the cold one. So yeah, they all had like this up to 5%. Did I even have one? Oh, it was this one here. Maximum cold resistance. Right here. So up to 5%. So all three of those had up to 5% with a Crankle Divine up to 6%. All of those are removed now. So plus with the Prism Guard, the only ways that you're going to be getting plus max res, there's probably still a few nodes in the tree, or maybe they added a few extra with the change. With a few nodes in the tree, you're going to have jewel sockets, because the jewels can roll plus max res, and then you have Gemling that can also give you max res. Max res is incredibly valuable. So, and if you don't know why, it's because, so let's say you take a 100 damage hit and you have 75 res, which is generally what the game is balanced around. So you're going to take 0.25 or 25 damage. Let's say you get 5 more max res. That doesn't sound like a lot. So you go from 75 to 80. That really doesn't sound like a lot, but you go from 100 to 20. And this is just like the closer you are to, so you went from 25 to 20, so you only lost 5. It's like, oh, well, I went up 5, you know, I only went down 5 damage, but now you're looking at it, 25 to 20 is actually a 20% less damage. So because the game is balanced around this, you're always assuming that you're going to take 25 damage. So this is, let's count this as a 100%. Now you go to 80% res, and you're taking 20 damage, so 20% less. And if you do, you know, another 5 to 85, now you're taking 40% less from your original standing point. Or if you're calculating based off of the 20 that you were at before, adding another 5 max res means that you're going to be down to 15 or a 25% drop in damage taken from your previous step. So this is why max res can be very impactful mathematically, and why it's like very valuable, and they don't give you many sources of it. The game is generally balanced around 75 res. So more max res does significantly raise your survivability against elemental hits and chaos hits too, which for Acolyte of Chayula does get 10 max chaos res. So that covers the Gemling stuff. Next we have another build, my build, the Glacial Lance Whirling Strike build, and I'm gonna put this in the baits. So we are at 4 baits so far, and I'm putting this in the bait because I knew a lot of people were looking at my Whirling build from last league and had been asking me for like an update for 0.3. I know I put it very clearly. Do not make this build until you see the nerfs. They have been, even before seeing Falcon Dive, they've done several nerfs so far. Maybe if I can find all the nerfs in one place. But we have Sea Glass Spear got nerfed. That's probably in the spoiler. Maybe I need to refresh. So Sea Glass Spear got nerfed, which was the best in slot for the build. Here, Sea Glass Spear now has 1.5 attacks per second, previously 1.6, and crit chance of 7, previously 10, base crit chance. So that means your Perfect Sea Glass is going to be slower now, and is going to have a max crit chance of 12. So Sea Glass is significantly worse now, and is not the best in slot for the build. It would most likely go to Spiked Spear now, as your best in slot. So we actually, like, Spiked Spear was still a good competitor to Sea Glass last league, even if it wasn't this, because it had such a much better base physical damage, offsetting the loss of crit chance, basically. So Spiked Spear was still very nice last league. Now we have, like, no competitors. Like, it has to be Spiked, because everything else is so bad. Whirling Slash relies a lot on attacks per second, and this nerf to attacks per second brings it below the attack speed of Spiked. Previously, they were the same. So now it's either you use Spiked, where you have a lot more damage with still better crit chance than the rest of the spears, besides Sea Glass, which has a little bit more base, or like you don't really have many other options. The other thing is they also changed the way Whirlwind sticks to, where is it? Yeah, here. Ground effects captured by whirlwinds now only last for 4 seconds, so we got nerfed on shock magnitude here, so we can't snapshot a very high shock value and just carry that for the entire map. We also got nerfed to building frenzy charges, which for Glacial Lance matters. They because the build that I posted was Deadeye Glacial Lance. Literally right before I started recording this video, the Thrilling Chase notable passive skill now has benefits from consuming frenzy charges for your skills. Have a 50% chance to be doubled, previously 100. So if you're going in with the intent of building up a bunch of frenzy charges, even if it takes you a while, and then consuming them all and getting double effect, now that's dead. Or at least 50% chance that you're going to lose half of your damage, your max damage. Which, you know, if it takes 15-20 seconds to set up, kind of sucks. Could be the difference from like getting stuck dealing with another phase versus just one-shotting a boss. So yeah, this got nerfed. This also probably is more targeting stuff like Barrage, because Barrage is incredibly well, I mean, the Glacial Lance is using Barrage, but yeah, this is overall like targeting Barrage, in my opinion. So yeah, I feel like, I hope I didn't bait people to like committing to Whirling / Glacial Lance. It's been nerfed quite a few times already with the changes. Some probably less targeted and some maybe a little targeted. Next we have scams. Oh man, there was a little, I would not call this fear-mongering. I think he was just trying to look out, and he did do very good research. I'm not going to name it. But there was a video getting passed around a lot about like, and people were getting worried about like, oh, how many scams, like everyone's going to try scamming with the new trade system. But to boil the video down into like the key points, a lot of it was don't window shop and buy from tabs without actually like validating what you're buying. And it does bring up good points, like, because we're getting new types of currency items, it's worth double checking that if you're going to window shop, that the item priced in Exalt is normal Exalt and not perfect Exalts, stuff like that. So it does bring up really good points to pay attention to, but I don't think that this is going to be a huge thing. If you made it this far in Path of Exile, if you played 0.1, 0.2 without getting scammed, you're probably already in the know that you need to look out for swaps. So it's like, don't go into a tab seeing like 10 Astras uncorrupted and one of them is corrupted and then just like buy them all out without looking. Like, everything that you're window shopping for, you're gonna want to check and just double check, same as before with your trades. One thing that he did bring up that was very important to address in the video was, if somebody buys the item and the seller puts a different item in the same position, will it still be highlighted for other people teleporting in? So that does bring up a really good point, and I hope GGG addresses this and makes it so that other items are not highlighted. So if that item is purchased, then the highlight is removed for everybody in the hideout and anyone teleporting in. The highlight in that spot is removed, and then if the seller puts a different item in that slot, it will not be highlighted for anybody. I hope that is I really, fingers crossed, hope that is the case, in which case you can't scam in that way. So would I say scamming is overblown? I mean, there's always going to be trying like shady stuff. I don't think scamming was that big of a problem, realistically. And the thing is, like, it was always that you have to check, because people will try, and you have to check. Bots. This one has been like a hot topic a lot. I've definitely like looked at some accounts and seen that like, okay, that there's a really good chance that that's a bot. Would I say it's a big problem? The thing that like I got stuck in early in Path of Exile, and this is by the way bait number 6. The thing that I got stuck in a lot early in Path of Exile was trying to get the item for the cheapest possible. You would see it go up, you would live search, it would ping, you would click it, and then it would be gone. Honestly, that was like the worst thing to get stuck into a loop. If it was priced in like divs, you pay one more div. If it was priced in chaos, you pay one more chaos. And I guarantee you there are out there. Like when I was trying to buy Desperate Alliances to run for Against the Darknesses, okay, there are some coming in for like 1 or 2 chaos less when you're paying like 40-ish chaos, like that's, you know, it adds up over time. But man, the amount of time investment to sit there and try and snipe those was just not worth it. How much of it is bots and how much of it is just too many people spam DMing them? Have you ever put up something that was too cheap? Because it's like you get DM'd, you get like 1,000 DMs. And I remember early, like mid 0.1 with all the Astramentis stuff. Let's put a nicer one. 88. With all the Astramentis stuff, it was ridiculous. Like, and there's probably nobody playing right now, but because everyone's just prepping for 0.3. But I remember when I accidentally put a white stellar amulet in my 5 chaos tab, and I wasn't trying to price fix or anything, but like when there's a highly sought after item, usually for bulking purposes, it's highly sought after, or it's just like gonna be used in like so many builds. When there's a highly sought after item, like man, you will easily get 100, 200 DMs. It's not really like you and maybe 100 other people are also all trying to attempt the same thing to get the same item. Now, where bots do kind of take away from other people is that they're able to compete autonomously, while you have to actually go there, click, buy the item naturally if they do respond, like while the actual player behind the bot is just off doing other things. They're just doing this autonomously and just collecting like way more than what you would probably normally get in a, or because like they can do it while they're asleep and mapping and whatnot. So yeah, bots I don't think are nearly as much of a problem as it's made out to be. And it tends to just be most of the people complaining about like, oh, bots are sniping all my trades. It's like, they're just not paying enough. That's the simple fact of it, is that a lot of the times it's just they'll send you like, oh, I tried DMing like 800 people for a 1 div Astramentis. Why is nobody responding? It's like, well, probably price fixers, which should be fixed with the new patch, the asynchronous trade, and just the fact that even if they did sell it for that, probably had way more people ahead of you. All right, another one. I wouldn't say this is really a bait, maybe a bit of an overreaction. I saw people like kind of going hard at the idea that it's probably going to be near impossible to cap deflect rating. But again, it will depend on the formula, and right before filming, they also changed how evasion works, which is, I mean, if you didn't see, player evasion now works on all hits except boss skills that have a red flash. So no more just like AoE ground spell in mapping that will one-shot you through evasion because you didn't have acrobatics. Acrobatics and high res are removed, while high res still works in a different way. But like that whole effect of now it also works on all those AoEs is removed. So now if the boss, unless it's a boss skill with a red flash, you can evade it. But they did also apparently adjust the formula to be lower overall. Anyway, getting back to the point about deflect, I think it was kind of like, Jonathan did say it would be possible to cap deflect. And I know he did say that. People are assuming that the deflect chance is going to be the same as, or like, you know, the percent that pops up. If you have the same rating, it's going to be the same chance between both for the deflect versus evade. So like here I have 82%. if I had 13,723 deflect rating, it would also be 82% chance to deflect. And the way that the evasion rating formula works is that it gets progressively harder to get that 1% extra estimated evasion chance. And I think the calculation was done with the average accuracy of a monster in a T15 would take you something like 500,000 evasion rating to more or less cap evade chance if you were allowed to 100%, which assumed would also apply to deflect. So, I mean, I do get where they're coming from, because Jonathan did say in the broadcast you can cap deflect. So maybe there's going to be different pathways to cap deflect, like actually hard cap deflect. But I do want to bring your attention to something. Is that if you are aiming to hit really high deflect, it probably means you have an amazing evasion rating. The way that Glancing Blows works now, Glancing Blows Keystone passive skill now provides chance to evade is unlucky, chance to deflect is lucky. This is really important to note. So let's say you have 95% evade rating, which is cap right now. Then you would have, the monster would have, it would be, I'm drawing a blank. It's your evade chance is 0.9025, so it would be 0.95 squared, because you have to evade twice effectively to win the lucky roll. So you effectively go from 95% evasion to 90.25, or you lose 4.75 evasion rating. On the flip side, you gain deflect chance is lucky. So now you get to roll with advantage. So if your chance to deflect is let's say 65%, then the monster has a 35% chance of doing full damage, and they have to roll that twice. Oops. And that only gives them a 12% chance to hit through without deflecting. So Glancing Blows is going to be a really strong pathway to getting deflect chance up way higher, assuming that we don't have, like, you know, 200% of evasion rating becomes deflect rating. If we have stuff like that, it's going to be probably a lot more trivial to hit deflect cap. So I don't know, I wouldn't say that this was a bait, but maybe a slight overreaction, because we really just don't know what the tree is going to be like. It's a new mechanic. We don't know how much of deflect rating we can convert to evasion to deflect. Maybe there's also going to be something like a notable for just plus 5% of deflect rating. So reaching 95 would be somewhat, not trivial, but decently easy if you really invest in it. And then you just have a plus 5% at the end to bring you to cap. So there could be different ways that the GG have implemented. So I think it's too early to tell on deflect being good or not, or being able to cap or not. So I think that's like maybe a little bit of bait. Now, the final one, the 8-on-8 great bait mate. This one is GGG just baiting everyone with like patch notes a week ahead of time, baiting everyone to start posting builds and posting interactions they think are going to be crazy, and they just start nerfing. They just bring out the nerf gun, the nerf machine gun over here, just like, oh, it's just nerfs like one after the next, just boom, straight nerfs. Besides the Witchhunter change and the evasion change, that one was surprising to me, but it's just been like just nerfs. The Deadeye changed from I don't even know where they put it. Updated patch notes here, another Deadeye one. So we went from the Eagle Eyes applying 20 critical weakness, then there was a patch to bring it to 10, and people still were talking about how it's gonna be good. They brought it down to 5 critical weakness. So we're going from 20% critical weakness, which would give you 10 base crit chance. If your weapon only had 5 base crit chance, 10 base crit chance on top means that you are literally getting like a 200% base crit chance bonus, which is insane, because all other multipliers of crit chance apply on top. Then they made it 10% or 10 stacks, which brings it down to 5, which means that you're doubling your base crit chance. So instead of 200% increased base crit chance, you had 100% base crit chance. Obviously, like if you're doing a crit build, you probably have crit like local crit somewhere else. But anyway, just giving an example. And then now they brought it down to 5. So half of a normal weapon. Half of a normal weapon's base crit chance is what the critical weakness would be now, which I find hilarious. This actually just seems terrible now. Like, oh my god, it went from like crazy OP to still incredible to... Am I even gonna spend 2 ascendancy points on this now? Probably not. So I just thought that was funny. Like, GGG, definitely the big winners here is that whoever's doing the balancing is sitting there on YouTube just like searching up, and sitting on Reddit too, just like searching like, oh, what are these paint builds? Is this interaction actually gonna break something? Oh, what's this video talking about? New broken interaction. They're just hitting everything. So 8 on 8, great bait mate, GG. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I've obviously been getting asked, Glitched, what are you starting? What's your league start? I've designed a crossbow build, which if you've been watching my streams, I did play a little bit on stream. I've done quite a few adjustments to it. So it's the POB I posted is not gonna and obviously the passive points are gonna change. There's a whole update coming, right, with a new passive tree, so things are gonna change obviously. So stay tuned for that. But I do believe that the build will be very, very reliable for early. It will take a lot of button inputs for bossing and stuff, depending on how tanky the boss is. But I still have very strong hopes for it. I think it's going to be an incredible build. Obviously, I can't wait to build it when the league comes around. What ascendancy will it use? Now, I was actually thinking about this today because the reason I picked Gemling was because if I was going to go support, it would be Tactician. If I was going to go, if I was going to be DPS, I would go and like if I started Merc, then I would be the Gemling. So I had originally picked the Gemling, expecting that I would be flexible between the Tactician and the Gemling, depending on what I was doing for the group. But now, but to like just say what would it actually be valuable, there's 4 different ascendancies that are actually valuable for this. One is the Tactician. You could actually play Tactician with the crossbow build. You do get advantage of pinning, and there's a buff now. The Tactician provides a buff for having stuff like mortar cannons out. So, and artillery ballista, so immobilization means like pin. So you can like get a ton of pin going. And then it also reduces the spirit cost of all non-minion or companion spirit gems, which for the build would actually allow you to fit all the spirit gems that I have planned in that 100, including a companion. In the base 100, while with the changes that I'm making, you would need to build some spirit elsewhere. Otherwise, Gemling still works. Still going to be using that ascendancy as I just spoke about earlier in that video. I think it's still going to be relevant to the build. Deadeye will work as well, so I might actually be going Deadeye myself for this. And then otherwise, the Amazon would work only because the life leech going off of elemental would be kind of nice for the build. Open wounds is nice because we're just doing a lot of small hits, so open wounds will apply a decent bit of damage throughout like a boss kill and such. But I would honestly just I would pick one of the other 3, mostly between Deadeye and Gemling for the build. So hopefully that answers some questions. The video for the crossbow build will go live right as patch drops, because I don't want GGG changing anything last minute, and hopefully I'll drop the video and they won't change it for the rest of the league and we'll get to enjoy it. So yeah, stay tuned, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you tomorrow. I'll be streaming on Twitch, and hopefully I'll get the dual stream running for YouTube, but the problem is my internet in Canada sucks, because all the internet here sucks, and if the bandwidth doesn't support it, I won't be able to stream to YouTube at the same time. But hopefully I can dual stream, get that YouTube and Twitch stream running, and play League Launch with everybody. So hope you had fun, and I'll see you later.